Scarlett Blade. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Silent Night, Memoirs of a Royal Guard, Chapter 46. Do knights naturally know how to dance? Am I making a big leap of logic here by assuming they do? Do you know how to dance? Could you tell me, please? You stupid pony. You promised me. What am I going to do? If not that, then what about the third chapter? What did you think of that? Please tell me what you think, please. I didn't run away. I wanted to. Celestia knows I wanted to. That didn't seem fair to you, though. This is never what I wanted. It shouldn't have gone like this. Please, I miss you. Oh, Celestia, please help him. There is so much more I wanted to say. Do you know I got his letter before I found out? I was so excited, and then... Well, you know all about it, don't you? Please, our story can't end like this. This wasn't how it was supposed to end at all. The voice was familiar and sweet, but filled with sorrow and regret. The words were quiet whispers at best. I inhaled softly as the scent of roses filled my senses. It was a nice balance of the aches I felt all over. My eyes opened and I immediately blinked, blinded by the lights above me. There was an angelic face over me. Clearly I had never made it off the train. Then I heard her gasp. "Doctor! Doctor, come quick! He's awake!" Crystal Wishes shouted. I smiled at her, at least I think I did, since I was pretty groggy. "Hey, beautiful," I muttered. "And he's delirious," she added. I was vaguely aware of the doctor and a horde of nurses coming in to poke and prod me. I heard all over. "Sergeant, do you know your name?" the doctor asked. "Silent Armor," I replied. He shook his head. "Try again." "Shining Knight?" I said. Again with a head shake. "Silent Knight?" The doctor nodded and said, "That is right. You're Silent Knight. Do you know where you are?" No clue. My head lolled a bit as I started to look around to get my bearings. "Try?" the doctor urged. My sluggish brain started to work. Probably not at a Griffin hospital. They typically don't employ pony doctors. I said as the fogginess in my head started to slowly evaporate. Memories flooded back and I tried to sit up. As I did, my vision went black. The hoof rested on my chest, urging me to lay back. "Easy there, Sergeant. You're banged up pretty bad, but you're quite the fighter. You made it across the sea, got patched up in Baltimore, and now you're home in Canterlot. You've been out for a while. Welcome back," the doctor explained. Well, I was glad I had missed the voyage back at least. Injured and seasick would have been awful. "Thanks, doctor." More details started to cut through the haze. "The princess?" I gasped. Again, I tried to sit up and was only rewarded by blackness and pain. I heard Crystal Wish's breath catch, and she set a hoof on mine. "She is fine. She didn't have a scratch. Please be still, Silent Knight." "How many?" I asked. "What?" My vision started to clear again. "How many did we lose? How's the lieutenant?" "The lieutenant's fine. His injuries were painful but superficial. He has almost gotten the limp worked out. The doctor says he'll recover completely. He'll be so happy to see you every day he comes by." She was stalling, I could tell. "Crystal, please, how many?" 10 in all. Most of the Griffins, too." She whispered, "I'm so sorry." 1/4 lost, plus all of those Griffins. They had been betrayed by one of their own for money. It was atrocious. The doctor cleared his throat as I brooded. "Sergeant!" He clapped his hooves in front of me. "Sergeant!" My head shook slightly and I looked up at him. "Yes, sir?" "You're going to be in recovery for a while. For now, you shouldn't have too much excitement, and we need you to start eating whole food as soon as you can. I realize you're a soldier, but you're not immortal. I'll have a nurse go over the rules." "Understood," I said flatly. "I do as I was told to get better and strong again. That was important, not for myself, but for those we lost." Alistair was going to pay. As soon as I was well, I'd see to that. "I'm sorry, Silent Night. Please, look at me," Crystal Wishes said from my bedside. I turned to her, upset, hurt, and furious, eager to lash out. Then I saw her face and her beautiful eyes. The ferocious storm calmed momentarily, and, after all, there was no sense in upsetting a lady. At least, not this one. "You've been waiting for me to wake up this whole time?" I asked. She smiled and nodded. "Not just me, though. Every pony. We've been taking turns so that one of us would be here when you woke up. Some pony that cares about you has been here every minute since you arrived. Even the princess herself. I've been here most of the time, though, because of my flexibility. A pony can ride anywhere, after all." "Really?" I asked. "That seems like quite a lot of waiting. How long has it been?" Crystal softly stroked my mane. It sent shivers down my spine. "You have a lot of good friends and family who couldn't imagine being anywhere else. You gave us quite a scare, but you're stubborn. The doctor told us you didn't seem interested in leaving." She paused, seemed to be considering whether or not to tell me. Reluctantly, she answered, "A month. A bit longer, actually." It made me smile to know that the others had been watching over me and that I had survived. I'm certain that would stick in Alistair's craw. Pegasi were tough, especially Pegasus warriors. I nodded. "Sounds right. Still work to be done. How bad is it?" I took a moment to look and feel about. I seemed to have all my bits. They hurt, but they were there. It seemed to pain her to say it, but she went through the list. Multiple fractures in the right wing, a couple of shattered ribs which did some nasty things inside of you. You took, I think they called it a bolt near the base of your neck in the back, several wounds in the body, a nasty blow to the head or two, and bruises all over. I saw your armor and nearly screamed in horror. It was barely together. "It probably saved my life," I said plainly. "Speaking of which, how is it that I'm here? The last thing I remember is separating the train cars." "Iridescence and Exemplar Feral saved you. She used was some sort of teleport spell to pull you back. Her magic then stabilized your wounds. It was miraculous. At least the doctor told me. He wasn't sure you'd ever wake up when you arrived from Baltimore." She wiped her eyes and continued, "Exemplar Feral was comfortably certain you would. Once you survived Baltimore anyway. She's an odd mare. Never quite with us in here and now, but she's been by to check on you a few times." That made little sense, but nothing ever did with the Exemplar. I was quite grateful that I had worked out the arrangements of the temple guards to come along, though. Who knows what would have happened if they had not been there. "I'll have to thank her then." She nodded. "That would be a good idea. Now, if you don't mind being alone for just a short period of time, I really want to let every pony know you're up. Winterspear will want to come over immediately." I waved a hoof at her. "I'll keep. Thank you for being here, Crystal Wishes. It's nice to see you." She paused before she left. "It's really nice to see you, too." "What happened to not being a hero?" Winterspear pointed at me. I shrugged. I wasn't being a hero. I was the last pony, and it was likely I wasn't going to make it anyway. If I had acted to protect myself, it still probably wouldn't have made it. A lot more ponies would be in here with me. It was the right call. Simple numbers. Winterspear wanted to hit me. I could see it in her face, but she held her hooves in check. There was a perk to being injured. "You're not a number," she growled. I reached out and looped a hoof lightly around her shoulder. Weakly, I tugged her closer. "I know, but I am a soldier. That's the job. I worked out all right, so you can't be too angry with me. Besides, I'm hurt." She laughed bitterly and replied, "Milk it all you can. When it's time for you to start getting back on your hooves, I'm going to wreck you." I squeezed her again. It hurt, but I wanted to do it. Then I nuzzled her cheek. I look forward to it. I'll be glad to get out of this bed and back to work. It feels like I'm just being a complete leech. Oh, I think you've earned it, but I hear you. The doctor said you'll be able to at least get out of the hospital on a light duty soon. It will be nice having your snoring self back at home, she said. I don't snore. Listen, little brother, I have sat here for hours while you were out, and so has every pony else. There are too many witnesses for you to silence. You snore. Accept it. Fine. Until I have evidence otherwise, I'll accept it. I still think you're wrong, though, I grumbled. Oh, so there is one more thing. Your lieutenant and I agreed it was time to do paperwork for new quarters. Iridescence got your old room. They moved you to bigger quarters more fitting for a first sergeant, and I tagged along. It's nice. That's okay. A room is a room, I said. It is more than a room. First sergeants have nicer quarters. You should have requested them a long time ago. She leaned in and kissed my cheek. Okay, I'm gonna go. You have got a line down the hall to see you. I'll be back tomorrow. And the whole thing burst into flame. She's a really talented runic, I said. Runic nodded and replied, she's master of labeling. Workplace accidents are at an all-time low now. She's cut my insurance rates in half. Anyway, those conflagration potions are pretty handy when you need them. And what exactly do you need them for? I asked. They were pretty much a weapon, after all. Weeding the garden, feisty rats, and the occasional changeling attack. A stallion has a right to defend his rocks, you know, Runic explained. I laughed and nodded. Of course. Are you and Miley spending time together now that she is back? Runic said, yeah. At first it was awkward and kind of hard on her. I know you all saw, well, you were there. She had to adjust to being back, but I think she has now. We talked a lot. We're experimenting and doing alchemy again. I even asked her on a date. She said yes, of course. Of course. I'm a bit rusty, but she's going easy for me. It's been a lot of fun. Most things seem to be back to normal, Runic mused. I leaned back against my pillow. I sure hope so. I'm ready to be back to normal. Runic got up and came over to bump hooves with me. When you're well enough, I'm going to throw a party for you. I'll get that fluffy pink dancer that you liked again. See you later, Silent Night. Get well. Great. Another 45 minutes to endure without understanding a word. Oh well, Runic threw the best parties anyway. And now you're pretty much up to speed, Iridescent said after going every little detail of what had happened since we'd been back. She'd been acting unit sergeant while I was on injury leave. Sergeant Orchid had passed on the opportunity, so she wouldn't be spending more time away from her family. There was a rumor that she was going to retire. I aimed to talk her out of that. Sounds like you're on top of everything to me, I said simply. There was a lot Iridescence hadn't said. It had been all business. She nodded and grumbled, well, you can have it back as soon as you're well. I'm not sure this is for me. Once you were well, until the lieutenant was awake, I had to make the tough calls. That may be fine for you, but I'm not you. He had a very morbid opinion about everything. We sat in silence for a moment, and then I scooted over to the bed, patting the spot next to me. I asked, what's on your mind? Iridescent slipped carefully onto the bed next to me. She was worried about hurting me, I think. I looped a hoof around her shoulder. You just pulled the lockpin out like it was nothing. How could you do that to me? You were going to die, she said. I ruffled her mane. It was the best chance to save the princess. You, Russet, and as many ponies as possible. Alistair had me, and he wasn't going to let go. It was simple math. Iridescence frowned. You sound like Lieutenant. How can the two of you be so confident about dying? It's horrible. That made me laugh so much that it hurt, actually. I winced, and Iridescence looked at me like I was crazy. You think I was confident? I was scared, horribly scared and alone. It felt like when my father had left me in Canterlot, but I did what I had to do to protect my friends. I'd do it again. With a sigh, I pushed on. Listen, I realize not every guard thinks about giving their life. For some ponies, it is just a job, but death is always a possibility. The lieutenant and I keep that in front of our minds so that we can be ready when we have to be. I'd rather it have been me than you or the princess. Iridescence hugged me tight. It hurt. I'm not ready for you to leave. You can't do that to me, Silent Night, she admitted. That just seems so bad. Maybe I'll be a hard soldier like you someday, but I'm not sure I want to be. For now, I'll have to leave it to you and the lieutenant. Why don't you come back soon and take over? I need my friend and my first sergeant back. Lightly, I bumped my head to hers. Yeah, as soon as they let me out of here, I'll be back. Now, unless you're going to do something for me, get out of my bed. I need to sleep. Teasingly, I pushed to her with 2 hooves. She laughed and got up. Okay. You want me to send the others home until tomorrow? I hate to do it, but yeah, I'm exhausted and I'd really like to sleep for a while. You don't think they'll mind, do you? Iridescent shook her head. For some ponies, maybe. For you, not at all. Get some sleep. Well then, I hope you guys have had a wunderbar day.